What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, starring the one, the only Ramon Foster, 11-year starting guard in the National Football League. All 11 of those, including the one where they went to Europe for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Moan's made several trips to Europe, business and personal, right?
Yes, absolutely. And also on the behalf of the Steelers, too. So, got
You
a
were the
freebie.
rep.
Yeah, I was. I was the Pat Fryermuth of this one, man. 100%. I was. Cam's gone over, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Cam went to Torrey Croke Park. He did.
Yeah, is that a shorter flight? I'm not sure of the logistics of it, DK. I know you're an international savant, so I wanted to know if it was a shorter flight.
It's shorter if you're going nonstop, but we don't have a nonstop, so Aer Lingus does not fly directly into Pittsburgh. They fly right into Cleveland, though, just because they want to make enemies around here. I know, right?
I'm not even going to. I was that close to leaning in, but I'm not going to. It's not worth it.
So it's a shorter distance. It's not necessarily a shorter flight.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That makes sense, Dan. Charter flights are a little bit different, though. I like the international series, though. Minnesota again was the only question I had. Why the Minnesota version of it again?
What do you mean, having the Vikings in again?
Yeah, we played them the last time in London.
The last thing that I'd heard was that they were having a tough time finding an opponent, which sounds a lot like college scheduling, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like,
NFL.
Don't ask, just tell.
You just tell people what we're doing. More times than not, we tick everybody else off simply because the NFL infringes upon everybody's time. So now you can't find an opponent. Boo.
Well, the Steelers will be playing the Vikings, in fact, on September 28th in Dublin, Ireland. And the rest of the schedule will come out later tonight. We know who all their opponents are. We know who's home and who's road. What we don't have is, the whole alignment of it. Moan, are you a believer that in 2024, the Steelers alignment, the steady run of really quality opponents at the end, the 3 games in the 11 days, that was a big factor in the way the Steelers season turned out?
It can be perceived that way, DK, but here's the issue that I have with it. You prepare. There is absolutely zero to hardly any excuses made when we win those hard games. So why are we going to make an excuse when it comes down to how the schedule is set up? DK, you got to go through them either way. So why is there a complaint or an excuse given as it pertains to that type of schedule? Now, I get it. Yeah, playing at Christmas, turning around, playing another game, it can be taxing, DK. It can. But what I do know is this: when the game starts and the ball is kicked off, nobody cares about those issues at all, DK. I'm not playing the game right now. I'm retired. I'm not going to allow that excuse to be made because we've dealt with similar situations like that, playing Cincinnati, Baltimore, Cleveland, then double back with Baltimore again to end the season. We've done this before. I hate to put it this way, but if you say you're not a strong team, just say that. Okay, don't make the excuse because other teams have similar schedules coming up. Right now, the Eagles have one of, I think, the toughest schedules. I think it was perceived, too, that the Giants have the roughest stretch of games as far as win-loss opponents from last year.
And, strength of schedule could be a funny thing, too. One of the things that we did last year when the schedule came out was we looked at the whole run that the Steelers have and said, oh, here's Washington. Here's an easy one. Well, never mind that the Steelers actually did go into Landover and come out with the result. Yeah. The Commanders kind of kept playing a lot longer than they did. Yeah. So there's a lot of layers to a schedule and analyzing it and everything else, and almost everything schedules. This is why the whole thing, this exercise tonight is going to be such a colossal waste of time because everything comes down to quarterback availability.
Or who is your quarterback?
That's what I mean. Right. You mean in the first place?
Yeah.
And there goes the entire analytics of the whole process. Is your quarterback available this week? Oh, easy game.
Yep, 100%. And that does play a good part in it too, DK. You can look at, I would put it this way. You feel better about your schedule makeup in 2 weeks when those teams were bad. And that is if Cincinnati was bad and you knew they were going to be, right? You can already project that one. If Cleveland was in purgatory also, you can project that. Before the Buffalo Bills got good, I felt like we played the Bills almost every single year. You can project that game being a cupcake game, but not so much anymore, DK. Heck, they got the doggone, if I'm not mistaken, they got Detroit on the schedule. That used to be we'll get the Lions.
Yeah, right.
With that being the case, you had, you can project the season a little bit better for the Steelers. That's not the situation anymore, DK, moving forward, at least not for the 2025 season.
When we get moving here a little bit, we're gonna get to some of the questions that are showing up here in our Hey Moan segment. I really want to, because we haven't had a chance to do this yet, is to go over some of this draft that the Steelers had, especially as it relates to Will Howard. Moan, you saw him shine in the playoffs. I know he's a sixth rounder in Columbus. Okay, and when you play in the biggest games and you rise either up to or above those games, all the little scouting reports and stuff, they go out the window, don't they?
Yeah, they do, DK. They go out of the window for this reason. When you play those big games more than anything, you're treated like a NFL team. You're treated like, hey, we want to see who's got the moxie to get this done, DK. Did you win the game? Did you lose the game? Okay, you won the game. How did you play? Lose the game. Did you cause you to lose those games? Like, there's a lot of fuss made up about Will Howard for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people will say, you throw anybody in that offense, they'd have did good.
I've heard that.
But they didn't. What I saw is this, DK, in Columbus, because I working the Titans job, I actually drove over, DK, from Indianapolis to Columbus to watch that playoff game. And I'm sitting like I'm watching film, too. I'm watching the end zone version of it.
Wait, you were there?
No, that's what I'm saying. I went to that game.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a different layer.
Yeah,
okay.
I went to that game versus Tennessee, my college team. The first time being in it, I had to see it in person.
Gotcha.
I wish I didn't see it in person. Okay.
Yeah, well.
What I saw was this. I thought our defense is pretty good. The Vols defense have been pretty good all year long. SEC, all that type of stuff, right? What I saw Will Howard do was this. Connect and throw. Connect and throw. Touch pass, corner pass, cross the middle, drag route. DK, he delivered. And I will say this, too. For a guy that had to get on in the way that he needed to prove that he wasn't just being carried, he delivered, DK. I am as pro Tennessee Vols as anybody, and you know that, DK. But he diced us apart. And I got to give credit where credit is due. And as many people want to say, yes, this guy sucked or this guy got carried, as far as that game, as far as the playoffs go too, DK, that wasn't the case. Now, is it a stretch to say, yeah, he's going to be this bona fide franchise guy? You can kind of say that because of where he was picked at. But what I do know, you got an older guy a little bit more mature that's played in big-time ball. I don't think for this reasoning, DK, if given the ability to prepare, he has a chance to compete. Now, Mason's got a leg up on him. Aaron Rodgers comes in. It's a different conversation. Yes. But what I will say is if the room remains the same, it could get spicy as far as the competition of it goes. And for this reason, too, Mason has blemishes, right? You don't know what Mason's going to turn into as a pro at this point in his career. Some people will label Mason as he is just what he is at this point, right?
A lot of people do that.
But there's the optimism for the new guy. How much of a rope will a young fella like Will Howard be given in those moments, DK, to where Mason wouldn't? Is an interception by Mason the same as one by Will Howard? I would say no. You'll just say, well, he's young and he'll grow. How much growth? And you laugh because you know it's true. How much growth will he be allowed to have with where this team is at right now?
I want to ask about the draft as it relates to the offensive line, too, because they did not add anyone to the O-line, which is not the way these drafts have been going. And, between that and the open declaration that Broderick Jones is going to be your starting left tackle.
Yeah.
It sounds like, Moan, they're ready to take the 5 guys they've got and run. How do you feel about that?
You know what, DK? It can be, one is bold, right? Because you're putting a lot of faith and trust in guys to grow up. That's the biggest part that I feel like. And not just that, a lot of faith in guys that they're going to be pros on moving over to the other side, right? With Broderick. You got to truly believe that this is a step that he's going to make. And I'll be honest, too, because we hadn't covered this also. If he don't see the writing on the wall as what just happened to George Pickens, hey, either you grow up and become a pro or we'll ship you out. The rest is on you at that point. This is a position to where we can help you become successful. That's where, to me, I'm watching to see how he continues to grow up, DK. But I'll say this, and I've said this before. The amount of talent, draftable and veteran, that they have on the team, I think off top is better than ours collectively. Okay? I look at Dave and I look at Pounce and say, yeah, they got other first rounders on their squad too. But I'll tell you this. We never at one time, DK, had 2 premium first round tackles on our offensive line. Never. Right?
You did not. You had a second rounder, and then you had Al.
Undrafted.
Well, Al was on everything.
On Patriot is what we call him, okay? Yeah. Just on the baseline of talent. A first-round center became special with us. Dave became a Pro Bowl, All-Pro guy, too. But as far as the picks, the selections, the pedigree across from right to left,
okay,
this is as high as it's ever been, DK.
I had not thought of it that way. I'm not going to lie. Because
you think about what guys did over their careers, not how we started out.
In hindsight, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then when you look at this line, you see first rounders at both of the tackles. You see the second round center, who arguably, if you did a redraft here, I think Zach Frazier might have moved his way up to the first round. And then, Isaac Seumalo is the veteran over at your old position. And then you have Mason McCormick, the fourth rounder. I still think you're going to see some pushing.
Drawback?
No, pushing for these positions. There are players, there are depth guys that are in, and they're not necessarily the types that you would have been bringing in as 1As or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you can't, like a Calvin Anderson is in the fold. Okay. Like you can, yeah. Do you see what I'm saying?
But here's what you also have with those guys that are behind them too, DK. They've been in the system, right? Those guys have been around for a year or two and understand what the competition looks like, what the expectations are also, and what the roles should be behind that group of guys too. So I think it's a little bit better on paper right now, DK, than we've seen it be in a while, albeit the age and the experience of these dudes.
When we come back, we're going to delve deeply into the only segment that actually matters.
That is Hey Moan.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. The NFL schedule is released tonight. The NFL draft has already taken place. And this is where it is your turn to ask Ramon whatever it is that you might want to ask him. And I see a couple of pretty good entries already here. The first comes from our good friend, Kerry Russell, who's always dropping a gift in every time there's an appearance. Says, hey, Mo, do you think that Mike Tomlin will change the schedule? And I'm sure Kerry means the travel schedule for I look at him lighting up already for the Ireland game after players complaining about being tired for the London game. They didn't need to complain, Kerry. They were carrying Lamar Woodley into the press conference. Some guys can't sleep on planes.
Oh, no, absolutely not, man. Even the size of the smaller dudes, it's just uncomfortable. Here's the quick pro tip. They usually fly, I think, Virgin Airlines over there has got the nice plush seats. I think it's only like 30 of those seats on the plane. Some of them go to the coaches, some go to the front office, and maybe 11 starters on either side. It's a very uncomfortable trip. What I would tell you is this: he probably won't. He won't change his stripes. Coach Tomlin's going to do the Thursday schedule, arrive on a Friday somehow, and guys get up and get running. It'll be treated the same way as the West Coast trip is. Screw the time change. He just is who he is. But here's the other side too. There's more context to that type of stuff too. Considering, do you also want the team to pay out that amount of money to stay over there that much longer? There's a budget to be had, right, DK? With travel, with hotels, with food, with drinks, with the weight room. You got to pay that out as a team too. And sometimes it's not necessarily the coach. It may be the front office.
This hadn't even crossed my mind.
Yeah, because it's easy to point Tomlin out on this. It is.
Yeah, go win the game. How about that? And you're facing a really tough opponent, the Vikings. You guys were both 0-3 when you went to London. This is different.
I know. I do think it might be week. Is it week 4, I think, for the Steelers?
It is week 4, September 28th. Typical.
So where's your other bye week coming at, too, for such a young, new team? Right? Where's the reset at in the middle? I'm interested in the schedule, at least because of that.
Joshua Dobbs gets personal here. He says, "Hey, Moan, how bad does it suck to play with a rib injury? I just broke 3 in my back. Ouch, dude.
Yeah.
And I hate life right now. What about playing? Have you ever played busted rib?"
Yeah, I did. Well, it actually happened in the London trip. I came back.
This is news to me. Okay.
Yeah, no, I got hit, and I felt it during the game. Took something, just like we always do, right, DK? Yeah. That flight back was by far one of the most, and the week after was by far one of the most miserable times I've ever had in my life. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't lean back. I couldn't lay down. And the pain of it was persistent as heck, DK. So, Josh, I feel you. Try renting or buying a lazy boy or piling up a bundle of pillows to lay down on, because it's the only thing that's really going to save you. And don't go down the Advil or leave like for too long either.
Or worse.
Yeah, or that's what I was alluding to.
I know you were.
Yeah, don't do that.
Mike says, "Hey, Bone!" Like this. He says, "Hey, Bone!" I know your guy Mason Rudolph being back makes you smile. What do you project the Steelers being at if he takes the helm? I don't know if he's looking for a record prediction or whatever, but how do you think Mason will do? Obviously, things did not go well. In Nashville, the Titans team that you were covering, but really for any of them.
No, any of them look good down here. And that's where you also don't want it to linger into his play or the perception of his play too. The biggest issue for Mason is will he get the entire offseason if it is him? How I project the season going, to be honest with you, 7 to 9 wins if he's the guy. That's somewhat how I figured out, because of the support of the defense, which has been huge, DK. We have talked about how much the defense has meant. And also what special teams can do with Boswell. By the way, congratulations to him and his wife, too. They just had a new baby. But besides that, defense and special teams, DK, to be quite honest with you, is what I'm leaning on more than anything. Your number 2, being Roman Wilson at this point, I'm 7 to 9 wins, DK, if it is Mason.
That's pretty dark.
We got to be real about it.
I'm okay. I'm just pointing it out. That's all. I'm not disputing it.
I know. I feel you. But like they don't come to us, DK, for lies and gaslighting and to be cheerleader when it comes down to this team.
Of course not. No, I'm more curious about the why of that, because I look at this defense, and speaking of the draft, and we were talking, and you wanted to see the Steelers go ahead.
Yeah.
Beef up that line. Okay?
Absolutely.
Get Cam some help. Maybe get the next Cam. Maybe Derek Howard is that. I don't know. Maybe he isn't.
Yeah.
Derek Harmon. Sorry.
Harmon.
Yeah. And I look at it a question of Will Howard over here.
We can blend them if they both turn into rookie sensations.
Dude, I also dropped an Aaron Rudolph on the crowd last week. And I still haven't been allowed to forget it.
Bless you.
That would be one way to solve the issue, right?
But the reason I feel this way, your division is better than you. Like, it's the way I look at it right now. I'm not going to say Pittsburgh's going to finish last in the AFC North, because there's always Cleveland. All right, I just want to throw that out there. But the teams that you have to go up against, Minnesota's a better team. I look at Baltimore as a better team. Cincinnati, if they get their stuff together with Trey Hendrickson, is going to at least compete and split games with you. Not to mention, DK, you got to go all the way out to the West Coast. How many times? One or two times? With the Chargers in this. You got the Lions on this list. I look at where this team is right now, and I say to myself, where are your wins that you can just count? Only ones that I look at and say, I see potentially Seattle, who's going to play a tough style of ball too. I look at the Colts, maybe as a dub, DK, that's just right on that list. You can get Cleveland 2 times, but all in all, it's going to be a rock fight with New England. you just see the makeup of this, and I do lean being optimistic by going 7 to 9 wins based on the fact that Pittsburgh always finds a way. But if it's Mason at that position with how he's perceived and how teams are just going to simply attack those young tackles that I'm high on, and what is your running game going to turn into with a rookie and also Jaylen Warren? And with one threat, not saying that Roman Wilson can't be good, but one threat at wide receiver.
And Carroll points out, what if they get another wide receiver, which well, you can always trade. You can wait for let's just give you an example here. The Packers brought in about 100 guys in the draft. And that means that another 100 have to come out. It's kind of like one of those Dr. Seuss machines. You put the thing in, and at the other end of the big contraption, something else has to come out. So, I think they're going to come available. We saw that last year with the whole Brandon Ayuk thing. I'll tell you this: Omar Khan wants one.
Okay.
So he's not ready to let this sit there empty, to let the WR2, because you're right. Cal is not going to be somebody that's going to get bumped up because it's not really the same position. William McDuffie wants to know everything that you've heard about Aaron Rodgers.
What do you mean? He's not on Pat McAfee? Is what I'm thinking. That's where we're going to get it from. His camp is tight-lipped. The Steelers are too. They never really want leaks to be out there like this. What I've heard on Aaron, the same as you, to be quite honest with you. I think some people are teasing stuff on social media, but that ain't real life until it comes from DK, Pittsburgh Sports, right?
Well, we've got just as much information as everybody else, my friend, on this one. There's nothing there, mostly because I don't think that you have anything to find out, meaning I don't know that he has any idea. We're talking about a decision being made by one person here. This isn't like some sort of committee being, passing along a memo from one to the next and being told to be quiet. He just doesn't know.
Yeah. I know they said the Steelers' first home game or the Jets' first home game is allegedly against each other. So I'm interested to see if they are trying to play up this Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Fields. I know the NFL loves a good storyline, but Aaron can just simply retire. There
it is. This doesn't have to be something where you go, what is he waiting for? What is he? He might just not want to play football.
Look at the makeup of the team. I saw somebody pushing the narrative that Allen Lazard wants to be traded to Pittsburgh, and that's another smoke signal for Aaron Rodgers. Who's to say? DK, that man may be enjoying Australia again for all we know.
And a beach. Titles says, hey, Mo, what do you think the Steelers' direction is with the moves that they've made? And there's been some criticism in that regard, and it was enough, I think, to move Omar to come at rookie minicamp, come over and talk with the media and say, hey, we're drop dead serious here. We didn't move George so that we could punt on the year.
Yeah.
Okay, but what do you think the team's direction is? Are they still all about win now? Are they kind of mixing it a little bit here?
I just don't think they were in the same page with George, first and foremost. The way he's talked on social media, it doesn't seem like that was a good relationship. He says DK shaking his head. No, I somewhat know the exact same thing too. Honestly, that's a smart move, a business move is what that is. We're in the business of winning. I think Omar covets that too. But would you rather keep George, not really be in the hunt the way you want to and get nothing for him next year? Or would you rather go ahead and grab that pick right now and send that guy on his merry way and say, hey, go do your own thing over here? That's the way I look at it. I do think they're serious about winning. I do think that the Steelers front office and team do know this. It's going to be a challenge to win too, DK, which is why, to your point, Omar said we're not punting it. We just never been here before. It's what it is. And I don't think Kevin Colbert has ever been in a position like this either, right? So this is new territory. A lot of people wanted Kev to be gone, or, hey, we need a new, fresh guy in the building. Well, this is how Omar operates. We're all learning his history in real time is the way I look at it.
So many different ways. This is going to happen tonight with the schedule too. You're going to see all kinds of record predictions and everything like that. And last year, of course, they started out 10-3. They lost every game they played after that. Okay. And that's just like one of the ugliest, nastiest scenarios that you can have. Yeah. However, You still won 10 games, and you won 10 games with a strength of schedule that almost everybody would agree was greater than this one that they're going to have, regardless of how they shake out or who plays where or what order. Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, within that, is the football team better than it was last year? The easy answer to that is, and you gave it, it's a fair answer, which is, let's see what the quarterback situation is.
Yeah.
The other answer is it's mid-May, and even the general manager himself has acknowledged that he's missing a piece that he intends to add.
Yeah.
So what happens? You see what I'm saying
here?
here?
Yeah.
If you now have DK Metcalf and another weapon, and you have, your running backs, Jalen Warren moves up to being RB1, which a lot of people have wanted for a long time.
Yeah.
And then Caleb Johnson comes in from Iowa. This was somebody who really impressed in college. And I got to tell you, you know who he reminds me of?
Who's that?
And this was just, observing things at rookie minicamp now over this past weekend. He's got some Richard to him.
Does he really?
Yeah. Now, he's not as big.
Yeah.
Okay? He's got more of Joe Mixon's stature, Arian Foster's stature.
Okay.
But his movement is like Richard, where you go, oh, yeah, he's not going to be able to. Whoa, where'd he go? Do you follow me?
That's actually pretty solid right there, DK.
Yeah, really, really nice first step.
Well, that to me is it's gonna have to be on the forefront of a lot. The run game. Can they week after week, quarter after quarter, DK establish the run? And essentially with a rookie too. Like again, stars are born every single year. Jalen Warren is who he is too, and I love watching him run the football. Also, can he tote the ball that much, and can you catch Caleb up to speed on pass protections? That's the other side for him. Can you protect the quarterback while you're in there? It's a fascinating approach. I see in our comments, there's a good bit of people pushing back on the idea that, look, I'm way too pessimistic about this season, pessimistic, DK. But you know me, DK. I'm by far one of the highest optimists ever when it comes down to my projection of the Steelers and just in general.
In life.
I'm very
That's
optimistic.
You, yes.
But I the questions on the quarterback and can the young tackles grow up, having not done it. Troy Fautano didn't play much last year, right? Does he understand what he's getting himself into? I think he does. I trust that he does, DK. But like I know, there's no experience other than really going through it like that.
Lots of good questions coming in here. Russell says, hey, Mo, who was your favorite running back to block for? And what made them your top choice? Now, he's talking about just blocking, not like who was your best bud or whatever. Who's your favorite running back to block for?
Best bud would probably be D'Angelo. You know that. But,
I do.
James is solid, too. I like James Conn. But the best one was probably Le'Veon, easily.
Your favorite, though?
Yeah, favorite to block for was
Why
Le'Veon.
is that?
Because his style allowed you.
But I'm going to call you out here, okay?
Do it.
It's because your technique was to seal, okay? Because you're sealing, you're not necessarily running out and pulling all kinds of. It's just eat him up, Bone. Okay, nope. I'll find my way around him. Eat him up.
Yeah, let us do this thing up here, combo block for days, and then go get the linebacker. I love the way he set us up, and we did the same for him, because where a linebacker would want to go, he'd go the opposite direction, right? And Le'Veon, like, you hear the frustration in the defense. You hear defensive linemen, what the bleep is he doing? Dog, I hate, like, it was beautiful with the hate that they hated defending that, DK. So, yeah, it's an easy selection that is Le'Veon. And not just that, too. A guy was a second-round pick that we'd heard a lot about. And on top of that, he lived up to what we heard. I don't know if there's many backs. I don't know if there was a lot of fanfare when James came to us, right? Or
local, but yeah.
Local, but not like it was like, wait till you guys see him. I was like, okay. And then the way we also transformed and grew with him, and to watch that turn into all Pro Bowl seasons, don't get no better than that.
I was actually the best I'd ever seen your line when it came to run blocking, and the most I'd ever seen you guys kind of strut who you are, was when it was both of them.
Yeah.
when it was both Lev and D Will.
Yeah, man.
Because you could just 2 series of this. Oh, wait till you see what we got coming for you next. Okay. And then the 3rd series comes along and D Will goes out there and does this.
Wow. Yeah.
By the way, what I've heard about Caleb Johnson.
Straight. Go.
No.
1 foot in the ground.
He'll make 1 turn and he goes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's D Will. And I said that when I was at rookie minicamp talking with someone about this. I said D Will, and they were like, yeah, basically.
Wow.
Meaning he'll take, he's a 1 cut back.
Yeah.
But the cut is real and it blurs into real time. It's really, really interesting to watch. He's interesting. This is going to make for a fun camp, just observing him and how he grows. And by the way, just for fun here, when he was asked what it's going to be like for him to, what are the biggest challenges that he faces in terms of, going into training camp and whatever, what's the thing that he really has to do? What do you think he said?
He said block?
Yes, he sure did.
Okay.
Yes,
already, I don't know how I
did.
knew that, but I knew that. Blocking.
How do you know that? Because only the same thing is sold to every running back that comes in there.
Or tight end, for that matter.
Tight ends, yeah, tight ends. But in this case, he gets to learn from a legitimately elite pass blocker in Jaylen Warren and someone who loves it.
You know why? Because most stars are starting running backs in college. They don't have to do all that dirty work like that for the most part. Their job is production. So there's not really taught to those dudes, or it's not really emphasized as much unless you got a running back by committee college team. And he was a premier back.
You have rattled Carroll to the core. By mentioning earlier on that you thought if they had Mason, they're going to win 7 or 9 games. She is the biggest Mason supporter. She has been reeling through this entire session here. She says, okay, Moan, I'm just going to say this. Okay. You could even sense the tension, right? I remember you thinking Mason Rudolph was going to lose the Bengals game in 2023. So maybe, just maybe, he'll do better than 7 and 9 wins. Mason, of course, had the terrific ending to the 2023 season for the Steelers, including beating the Bengals.
This isn't a diss towards Mason. Y'all know Mason is my guy. That's my dog, okay? It's just the way I view the setup of this team if it remains the same and who they have to go up against. I am by far one of the biggest Steelers supporters and believers in the Mike Tomlin system and the team DNA in general. But you got to call a spade as it pertains to, 1, your division that you play in, 2, the opponents and the setup of their team, 2, and 7 to 9 wins still may get you second place in the AFC North, because depending upon splits and the games that you win, that's still a good place to be at. I'm no denier of what Mason's capable of, but here's the other part of it though. How can we say that with conviction when Mason's never been an opening day starter? When thrown in those situations before, it's been for short spurts. What do we know about Mason and his ability to carry a team? We don't. I do think we got a good bit of the backup boost at times in those moments that you're speaking of, Carol. But like Mason being in a position to drag a team to the finish line, I don't think with what we're presented in the AFC North, does he fit that mold of saying that's a 10-win quarterback? Can he be special and prove me wrong in it? Potentially. But you're telling me that his ability to know to go to DK Metcalf, because he hadn't played with a wide receiver like him anywhere. He just hasn't, right? Or how much did he get of AB? Did he get much of Antonio?
He did, but it was mostly in practice in 2019 and whatever. And by the way, AB goes to bat for him to this day.
We all love Mason.
Yeah.
We do, but he hasn't been in this position to make me believe that it's going to happen. And if Aaron Rodgers comes into the fold again, there he is again in the backup role. So if Mason's a guy 7 to 9, and I don't feel that much better about Aaron Rodgers. I don't. With the makeup of this team and what they've shown us their play is over these last couple of years.
Now, if you'll notice, you'll see in the comments here as you're speaking that a lot of references here to Dark Mason having emerged into this situation. Now, Dark Mason, if you're not following the social memes here, is a reference to his ridiculous goatee that he's trying to grow.
He's trying to be like me.
He really is. It's all he's ever wanted, actually, is to be Moan.
Yeah, that's it.
But he's got the goatee, and it's being referred to as Dark Mason because he's trying to show you how, what a
Serious he is.
bad dude he is, quarterback, right?
Yes,
Dark
man.
Mason fears no man, says Robert Shum.
I hope I'm wrong, is what I'm telling you. If he's the opening day starter, I hope I'm wrong. But what I do know is this. Teams attack you on how you make them fear you. I'm not sure where that is as far as DK Metcalf being the one threat outside, a young offensive lineman, and a quarterback that hasn't overly proved himself in this league as being valid. Do you get the same feelings about Mason as another team gets about Jaden Daniels? No.
I'm not the one to ask because I was in the locker room after the Steelers beat Washington, and they just weren't all that impressed with Jaden Daniels. I hate to say that out loud.
The defense may not have been.
The defense was not impressed at all. They felt like they really got to him.
Yeah, and they probably did.
And they had some stories to support it. Stuff that only you guys hear on the field that the networks don't pick up. They heard some stuff down on the field that they felt confirmed this information
Gotcha.
for me. And you know what? When they brought it up, and then I looked again on the film, they were not surprisingly right.
I mean, yes, they were. But is that a defensive issue, DK, or is that an offensive situation right there that transpired? What was the score to that game? I'm trying to look it up right now.
I don't know. It was close because that was the game that was the game that Mike Williams won.
It was 28-27.
But they won.
It wasn't an offensive blowout, is what I'm saying.
No, what happened? Washington was able to move the ball basically through Terry McLaurin, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it's just a catch and runs. Now, that's not taking credit away from Daniels, but what Daniels wanted to do was to run. And the way the story was told to me was at one point or other, he went, it was a designed run, and he went to the outside, and he went, "Oh, y'all not going to let me run, aren't you?" See, you can actually hear this, right?
I can't hear that.
Okay, so he said it might have been someone whose name rhymes with Patrick Queen and someone else whose name rhymes with Keanu Benton, who might have been relaying this story for me. Y'all not going to let me run, are you? Yeah. And then he goes to the other side and nothing happens. And he goes, "Seriously, you're just not going to let me run." All right, we'll try something else then. And then he stopped running. There was one play. Yeah, now, some of you might remember this, where he just went straight out of bounds. He was like, "I'm not dealing with this."
Too many hits. He preserved himself. He preserved himself. Yeah, smart man.
Good for him. David says, "Hey, Moan, how would you improve the quarterback pressures?" Some of the numbers that I shared on the show yesterday showed that the Steelers had a big drop, and he's referring to the defensive guys.
Defensive, yeah.
Have the Steelers defensively become too reliant on the edge rush instead of bringing it from all over?
They could. But here's the other thing. You got to be able to trust the guys on the back end of the defense to blitz, basically, is what I'm getting at. How good of a coverage linebacker do you have to get to his spot and cover his guys? Where are your safeties at that you trust in this defense that allow you to send a corner blitz? Or do you trust your corners or dime guys to be able to drop back enough to get to them? Those are the things that have to be answered. It's not just because of the edge. And here's the other part, too. The occupation of TJ and Highsmith, Alex Highsmith, is what? Get after the quarterback. The other part of it is if they're not winning, then the guys on the back end of the defense got to hold up their end of it too, or not get DPIs. Rush and coverage works together. Now, if you have Joey Porter Jr. grow up this year and be a whole lot better and become a shutdown corner, that helps the rush. That helps the pressure. That helps all things that the front seven are asked to do in those moments right there. And again, with the incorporation of how some teams have really good tight ends, what is your coverage like getting on those guys to stop those moving chains? Because Baltimore got two of those demons, think about that. And Cleveland, for that matter. David Njoku, if I'm not mistaken, had a day last year against the Steelers.
Steeler girl out in Hawaii says, "Hey, Moan, do you believe that old man Rodgers would benefit the Steelers?"
Just on being a threat.
What do you mean?
His last 2 years didn't do much for me.
No?
I think the threat of hoping he turns into something, or the belief that, we got our guy in here, and that's freaking Aaron Rodgers. Well, you'll see if there's a burst of excitement to want to play with a guy like him. His best benefit to me is what he was. If he can be somewhat that, then yeah, it is a huge benefit still, girl. But in totality, I'm of the mindset that he's going to have to show me. I don't want to jump on this train and we get the Jets version of him, which became a little bit of excuse making and throwing guys under the bus.
Our
Fair?
last question for today, yeah, absolutely, comes from he who shall be known as Butthole. Is, hey, Moan, did living in Pittsburgh shape the person that you are today? Was it the perfect fit, or do you think that life in an even bigger city might have suited you better?
I had those opportunities as a free agent. Different city, Cleveland was one of those cities. Bigger city, New York, New Jersey was one of those cities. Pittsburgh was a perfect place for me because I was young with a young family that I was raising. Also, me and my girlfriend, now wife, grew up there. I think the way Pittsburgh hardens you as a team, the fan base, if you lose football games, don't go out because they'll chastise you. You shouldn't be here. You should be home. It just honestly gave me an appreciation of somebody that was from the South that always viewed being up north as fast, as you're very brash and disrespectful, as they only care about what you can do for them. Pittsburgh is a sports city that cares about it, and when you realize that and you can serve it, it'll give so much more back to you. You're not just a number in Pittsburgh if you buy in to the city. So, did it help me? Yes, heck yes. I don't think I'd have been fine. But what I would say is this: the stability that Pittsburgh helped provide over my career, I definitely think helped me be a better player. And honestly, probably understanding of what life is over there. Coach T, again, y'all know I brag about the life lessons more than the coaching with him. There was a lot of that, and Pittsburgh, I think, as a city allows that because of the stability from top down. Starting with the Rooneys down is where I give a ton of credit.
When we come back, take care of a little bit of business here on the Ramon Foster Show.
Yeah.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Poor Josh Dobbs. Don't make me laugh. It hurts too much. He's in pain.
Oh my gosh. They're talking about making compilations of you saying that word.
Butthole. Yeah. I just keep it. He keeps contributing. You'd be surprised what I'd say.
Everybody's got a price. DK's $5. $5. Hell yeah, DK.
No, everybody.
Love it.
Carrie dropped a gift on us. So did Butthole. Michael dropped 10 on us. That's appreciated. Bert Fritz came in with a 20. I didn't even see that during the program. Thanks, Bert. That's very kind. A couple bucks over here. Here's the going rate. Jay Miller with a 5, and we appreciate you guys. Moan, the draft passes.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how by the time late Saturday evening or Sunday on these drafts, everyone starts talking about the undrafted free agents around here. It's so cool, because
cool.
we've had, and the names that come up are the ones that you would hope that come up, including your own, where people say, yeah, but ... that individual came in and gave us this, and this. And have you ever passed along lessons / advice to these types of players, the ones who are the undrafted free agents who sign these $5,000, $8,000 bonuses?
Absolutely. If I could, I would try to mentor all the ones that the teams took serious or guys that I saw stuff. And I always did, DK, as a player, who's my guy? Who's my guy in camp? Because there's a sense of pride in it, DK, and not all draft picks are good. Okay? Not all draft picks are good. They probably just tested well. They probably, came from a good system that the team thought was there. So I always lean into those undrafteds, DK. But it's so hard, is what I will also say too. Trying to find your way in. Like the guys that are undrafted offensive linemen this year in Pittsburgh, the undrafted guys, they're going to have a hard time trying to crack a 53-man roster. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, very fair.
But what I would tell those dudes is this: hey, it's not just Pittsburgh. It's not just, hey, Coach Tomlin watching you. It's 31 other teams that can have your service. So how you handle this training camp is based upon how you feel. If you want to be successful, there are 31 other teams that will probably be watching your tape. So do what you have to make this happen. That's always been my motto to those guys. By the way, I had a lot of people say I look like, or he looks like me. YA Black, ain't that how you say his name? I had somebody say this like late last year. It was like, there's a kid at Iowa State that looks just like you, or Iowa. He's got the goatee, light-skinned guy and stuff like that. So pretty wild.
He's enormous. And you know what he does on top of everything else? He's got this hair.
Yeah.
This like kid and play hair that goes like straight up, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, dude, we get it. You're enormous. We got the first memo.
You know who he remind me of? A discount version Cam.
Well, now, why is this?
Heavy-handed, long arm, feet never stop. Looks like an agitator on tape. Heavy-footed, also, and just power.
Heavy-footed? What's that mean?
Yeah, he just run. When you look at him run, it looked like he's stumping ants every time he moves up and down the field. You know what I'm saying?
Never heard that. No.
Yeah, but he reminds me a ton of him. I'm actually rooting for him because I have been watching him for a while. I tweeted out after he was selected, YA Black is by far one of the most Pittsburgh Steelers picks if there's ever been one.
Wow.
Cool. He fits the bill to me. With the same way I felt about Keanu Benton, I have those same sentiments about him, DK.
That's good stuff. All right, guys. We'll be back with another one of these
next week.
You got anything for us, Moan?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I do, man. Good people, man. Everybody love everybody. I miss you guys going into Mother's Day weekend. To all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. For the ones without, man, I empathize with you because, we continue to carry on that void. But with that being said, call somebody you ain't talked to in a while. I know it sucks to apologize, but apologize to somebody. Have a random conversation. Buy somebody a beer. Give somebody a hug or juice if you don't drink. Have a cigar with somebody like my men, Tunch and Wolf would do, okay? But everybody love everybody, man, and make it back to us next week as we do this again. Peace.
That was really good.